Sandro Ochoa from Billionario TV.
Sirs, balikan ko lang yung question ni Dwight kanina. Is it possible na kaya nangyari yung nangyari kahapon because Duterte was a victim of his own wrong pronouncements? Una, yung hurrying up yung sa ICC during the Quadcom. And then yung pagkala sa ICC, kaya hindi siya pwedeng makulong dito because we're no longer a member state.
Mahirap naman kasi ang sabi ko nga, nasa korte po talaga yan. So ang hirap din naman na yung accused, ididiin mo. Siyempre may biktima dyan. Parang ang dating, sila nga ngayon yung biktima. Pero sabi ko nga, nasa ICC na yan. I believe during the Quadcom and many other occasions, he was even taunting the ICC na kunin nyo na ako, sunduin nyo na ako, ang tagal nyo. Tapos may kaakibat na bad word. Pero ang point ko naman dito is, nasunod naman yung procedure. It was actually being said na napaka-smooth. Ibig sabihin, na-uphold yung rule of law. So, hanggang doon na lang muna siguro yung sagot ko.
Well, as I mentioned, kanina, they probably saw this coming before, no? And I think the decision to withdraw from the ICC was part of a strategy to evade possible prosecution from the ICC. But clearly, the jurisprudence that we have right now, and also our standing obligations with the Interpol, have worked in favor of those who filed the case. Sabi nga ni Kong Paulo, maghihiring pa naman. And I think it's very important to also continue to be vigilant of how the trial would be, no? And making sure that in the end, hopefully, the proceedings will serve the interest of justice.
Sir, kapag wala bang travel authority tapos lumabas, anong pwedeng maging repercussion nun sa House?
Yung last na umalis na walang travel authority, kilala natin yun kung sino. Yun na lang.
Sir, so pwedeng mangyari yung nangyari kay Kong Arnie Teves?
No, okay, to be fair, that is a requirement not only of members of Congress but any government official. Ang pag-apply, government employee, government official, we're all required to get a travel clearance if it's a personal visit or a personal trip, and a travel authority if it's an official trip. Hindi ho dahil congressman o lahat ho ng kawani ng gobyerno, kasama po yung mga halal na opisyal, required po. And I think, hindi ko lang alam kung ano yung penalty for that, but I understand there was a penalty, there is a penalty for that. Well, kung sa House, yung last na hindi kumuha ng travel authority, nasa East Timor pa. Well, to be honest, I don't think there's sufficient time for that. Sorry, kahit nung hindi ako congressman, empleyado ako sa House, I had to get a travel clearance. Kasi hindi ka rin papalabasin ng immigration pag wala kang travel clearance eh. The law should apply to everyone.
Conjel, as ethics.
Yes,
a government official has to secure a travel clearance or travel authority regardless of the nature of his trip abroad. If it is official, it's a travel authority. If it is for personal trip, it's a travel clearance. This is a requirement to all public officials, including all elected officials. Why? Well, the essence of this is that there is a certainty that the said official has to return home, kasi they have a duty to fulfill. Imagine an elected mayor going abroad without a travel clearance. Kailan ba siya uuwi? May mga trabaho siyang kailangan na gampanan eh. So it applies to all. It's not just for the elected official. And anyone who violated this rule can face an administrative charges for violating this particular requirement. So, like kami, kahit yung travel abroad namin is for a personal trip or bakasyon, we have to secure travel clearance. And we have to present this before an immigration officer. So, yun po yung patakaran dyan patungkol sa mga foreign trips abroad.
Thank you, Sandro. Earl Tobias from IBC 13.
Kongs, good afternoon po. Sa misa po, para sa mga EJK victims kahapon sa isang simbahan sa Payatas, nakausap ko po si Nanay Yunina, isang lola na nag-aalaga ngayon sa 2 apo na dahil napatay ang kanyang manugang na si Dante, 31 years old, vendor lang daw po ng gulay. Until now daw po, paminsan-minsan bumabalik pa rin si Nanay Yunina doon sa police station na malapit kung saan natagpuan yung bangkay ni Dante para tanungin kung sinong pumatay doon sa manugang niya. Yung asawa daw po, heartbreaking man pero dysfunctional na daw, hindi na raw magampanan yung pagiging nanay at hanggang ngayon daw natatakot pa rin kahit na 2017 na nangyari yung pagpatay. Sir, do you think yung ganitong nangyari, pati yung parang tahasan lang na pagtatag ng mga ibang netizens sa social media na mga adik naman yung napatay ni Duterte, anong implication nito na parang dahil na-normalize ng dating pangalawang pangulo yung patayan, yung krimen, yung ganitong karumal-dumal na mga senaryo, parang naging manhid na lang po ba yung publiko? Tapos, paano naman po sila na until now, as justice is going to be served sa ICC sakaling mahusgahan, paano naman po yung iba pang wala pa ring hawak na sagot sa ngayon kung sino pumatay sa mga kaanak nila, Kongs? Thank you po.
Babalikan ko ulit. Ang pagpatay ay krimen. Illegal ang pagpatay, ang AJK ay illegal. Ang sino mang pumatay ay kailangan managot sa batas. And I think that has to be clear, no? Because the rule of law cannot be a choice between mercy and justice. Hindi ho namimili ang batas kung sino ang papanigan. Pinapanigan lang ho ng batas palagi ang katarungan at katotohanan. Kaya, alam mo, marami pang mas malungkot na kwento kaysa dyan, no? May alam ako na isang lola na napatay sa isang operation yung apo niyang 3 years old sa araw ng birthday ng batang yon. Kasi iniwan niya yung bata kasi yung lola bumili ng pampansit. Pag uwi niya, tadtad na ng bala yung bahay. Meron akong nakilala na AJK victim, 17 years old na siya ngayon. At the time na pinatay yung buong pamilya niya halos 5 years ago, mga 11-12 siya. Pinatay sa harapan niya yung tatay, yung kapatid niyang lalaki at yung nanay niya. These are sad stories, no? And what even makes it sadder, mas nakakalungkot na nung 7 taon na dumaan, they had no choice but to pin their hopes on a foreign court. 'Di ba? Parang sa ngayon, kinukot siya na sinasabing we're surrendering our sovereignty. Pero kung isipin mo, mas nakakalungkot na kung ikaw nasa side ng mga kapamilya na napatay, na kailangan mong umasa sa isang korte na sobrang layo, na hindi mo makuha yung inaasa mong katarungan dun sa mga pulis, sa mga korte, dito mismo sa bansa natin. And I think this is for me the impact of what's happening yesterday. 7 years pinagkait sa kanila any glimmer of hope na magkakaroon sila ng hustisya at kahapon dumating yon. At alam kong may trial pa na susunod at meron pang pagkakataon. Kahit si former President Duterte, may pagkakataon din siyang i-defend ang sarili niya. Pero in the end, let's allow justice to take due course. Let's not reduce this to a political narrative. Let's not just look at the political motives of whosoever, di ba? Isipin naman natin yung buhay na nawala, yung mga taong napatay. Yun talaga dapat ang nakatuon ng attention natin. Kahit sino naman siguro, mapresidente man siya o hindi. Kung di umano ganyan ang krimen na ginawa nila, I think they should be made accountable for that.
Thank you, Kong. Follow up lang do. Should there be any firmer legal action as of now? Given na maybe si Nana Yunina ay representasyon din ng ilan sa mga kaso na until now, sadly, may mga men in uniform na mga ilan na service pa rin nasangkot sa nakaraang madugong war on drugs. And parang on the local scope, ini-implement pa rin nila yung somewhat hindi ibigay yung police report, hindi ibigay yung mga tanong sa kasagutan nila. And then, pwede bang yun ang maging sentro sa pagtuloy ng Quadcom?
Well, tama ka doon. Siguro itong isang magandang nangyari from the Quadcom is that lahat ng ito ay nailabas natin. At kung sino man ang nagtatago from behind an official role or nagtatago sa likod ng kapangyarihan, nailabas natin lahat to. We were able to give some breathing space siguro na lang naman para dun sa pamilya ng mga AJK victims, no? And hopefully that would, kasi naniniwala tayo dun sa AJK, kaparte siya ng sistematikong pamamaraan ng yung pagpapasawalang bahala sa value ng buhay dahil lang sa war on drugs, 'di ba? Nung kawalan ng katarungan. So we want to see the pattern in that. And hopefully with what we've learned from the Quadcom and as the Quadcom progresses, to yung sinabi kanina, we're hopeful that more and more of our police officers and those who were actually involved in implementing it, especially those yung sumunod lang, yung naipit doon sa kill quota, yung mga naipit doon sa promotion, magkaroon ng pagkakataong ilahad din yung katotohanan ayon sa kanilang nalalaman.
Thank you, sir. Last from my end, impeachment lang po. Prosec Jill, question lang po. Kasi nung nakaraan with Prosec Chua, ang pinag-uusapan namin is that paano yung complications if in case nga pumunta ng Netherlands si BP Sara Duterte and then maging abala siya doon as of course assisting her father. Pero yun nga po, nangyari na. Nasa Netherlands siya ngayon. Walang certainty kung kailan babalik o mananatili ba siya beside her father. Ano pong mga complications na madulot nito sa impeachment? And ano po yung best possible route ngayon? Dapat bang madaliin? O mas naging ideal ba ngayon yung meron munang leeway time bago mag-July na yun ang sundin? Kasi busy si Sara Duterte.
Well, first and foremost, it has the Senate should act whether or not to convene themselves as an impeachment trial court. No, again, we're not saying na ito po ay dapat gawin na, but it's the Constitution, no, the constitutional provision that the trial by the Senate shall start forthwith. So, with respect to that, wala na ho kaming magagawa doon no? Nasa kamay na o yung bola nasa Senado na, no? So, let's wait and see, no, kung kailan nila po aaktuhan 'yan. Pangalawa, siguro malalaman natin kung ano yung magiging implikasyon once na nag-start na ang impeachment trial. For now, of course, as a daughter, as the Vice President, pumunta siya para mag-assist sa kanya pong tatay na si Pangulong Duterte. So, hindi pa namin makita kung ano magiging implication nito. But most probably, if the respondent, no less than the Vice President, has to file his answer to the impeachment complaint, of course, she has to sign that particular pleading. No, she has to take an oath before a notary public. No, so it requires personal appearance.
Pero sorry, Prosec, kung ikaw po tatanungin, would you stay firm na dapat personal pa rin humarap si BP Sara regardless sa mangyayari sa dahig?
It's not for us to tell whether or not the BP should appear. No, of course, they have their own strategy. No, so it's up to them whether or not for them to ask and tell the Vice President to appear before the impeachment trial court. So, yung mga bagay na yan, makikita natin along the way, no? Kung talagang merong necessity, of course, syempre pag-aaralan din yan ng kanila pong mga defense counsel. So, titignan nila kung ano yung mas paborable na gawin nila kung talagang ihaharap nila si Vice Presidente. Pero kung ako tatanungin, it's better for the Vice President to appear before the impeachment trial court.
Thank you po. Thank you, Congs.
Thank you, Earl. Kim Salinas from A to Z.
Hi, sir. Good afternoon po. Sir, merong allegedly accusation na kidnapping daw yung ginawa kay former President PRRD. Ano, sir, yung comments nyo dito? At the same time po, yung nangyari po bang pag-aresto kay PRRD kahapon na nasa ICC na siya, ay ito ba ay nagpapatunay na justice served dun sa mga EJK victim na inyo pong naisiwala through Quadcom, sir?
Legal po lahat ng nangyari kahapon at wala pong nalabag na batas o procedure. So hindi po totoo na kidnapping yung nangyari. Again, ganun po ang atake nila. Politika yung narrative nila. So they're appealing to emotions. But again, lahat po yan ay maayos na naisagawa at naayon sa batas. Ano na yung second question mo?
Kumbaga, sir, itong nangyari kahapon is justice served na doon sa mga EJK victim, lalo na yung mga naisiwalat na mga paghihirap ng mga EJK victim during the Quadcom hearing, sir.
Hindi pa kasi mag-uumpisa pa lang yung trial eh. So, pero sabi nga nila, this is some sort of vindication for the victims as well.
Hindi ko talaga alam kung bakit masasabi nating kidnapping eh. Ngayon lang ako nagkaroon ng kidnapping na may blow-by-blow account eh. Kung paano, online streaming pa, di ba? Kung kidnapping yun, ewan ko na lang. Kung ano, dami nilang sinasabi kasi hindi, katulad yung sinabi, hindi naman nila maharap yung mga victims direkta eh. Mabuti nga ngayon, may live stream pa sila. Yung mga napatay dati, katok lang, patay na kagad, di ba?
Well, for me, it's not a state kidnapping, no, as accused by the Vice President, because the arrest was effected by virtue of a warrant that was issued, no. So yung kidnapping forcibly talaga kinuha po yung isang tao against his will. But with this situation, we have a warrant of arrest that was issued, no, by a competent court, no. Which is the International Tribunal Court. Having said that, again, the Philippines has to act, no, by virtue of being a member of the Interpol. So in other words, above board lahat ng naging proseso, no, ng pag-aresto. Kasama po yun doon sa standard operating procedure ng Philippine National Police, no? Binasahan ng warrant of arrest, ng Miranda rights, at binigyan ng pagkakataon ng ating pong Pangulo. Hindi naman natin nakita na forcibly he was taken by the police authorities, no? In fact, he was assisted, pinapunta sa isang kwarto together with his lawyers, with his family members, and of course the police authorities gave him the medical attention that is necessary. Of course, apart from that, of course, yung pagbasa ng kanyang Miranda rights. So again, lahat, no, SOP yun sa pag-effect ng arrest ng ating pong mga pulisya.
Thank you. Sai Chua from Congress TV.
Hello, sir. Good afternoon. Sir, do you have an idea kung ano oras darating si President Duterte sa The Hague, Netherlands? Sino po ang kanyang mga kasama? At ano po yung magiging proseso once na dumating po siya? Paano po ang turnover? Do you have an idea?
Well, I don't have any idea kung ano yung estimated time of arrival, ano. But of course, yung proseso kasi niyan, of course, he will be detained in before the ICC facilities in The Hague, Netherlands, no. Because the trial, doon po gaganapin yung trial eh. So, may mga nakikita naman tayo sa social media na pinakita yung parang magiging detention facility, no, ng isang naaresto because of a particular crime. So, of course, the arrest is necessary to secure his attendance doon sa magiging trial. And that is one way of acquiring jurisdiction over the person of the accused. No? Because they cannot proceed with the trial if they will not acquire jurisdiction over the person of the accused. Now that he is already arrested and of course he will be detained inside the ICC facilities, of course, magsusunod na yung trial niyan.
Yes, sir. Sino po kaya yung mga kasama niya doon, sir? Will he be accompanied by
Well,
by anyone?
nakita naman natin no sa litrato na lumabas kagabi, he was accompanied by former Executive Secretary Medjaldea, and in front of him is a woman, I don't know him, a nurse, no? A nurse, and the executive assistants. And then of course together with other police authorities.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Shai. Billy Vegas from Abante Politico.
Sorry, local lang po kay Kong Jill. Kong Jill, may lumabas na report. May kinalaman daw po kayo ni Kong Saldico dun sa pag-divert po ng pondo para dun sa distrito na tinatakbuhan mo sa paparating na election po.
Okay. So, of course, I am together with Kong Zaldi has already issued a official statement about it. No? But in addition to that, no, insofar as I am concerned, unang-una, kung sino man po yung nag-aakusa, yun po yung may burden of proof. No? Ibig sabihin, yun dapat yung may obligasyon na magpatunay. Now, my question is, asan po yung kanyang ebidensya na ako po nakialam, nagtapyas, at nag-divert ng pondo para po sa 1st District of Albay. So in other words, wala hong basihan. It is a false accusation. In fact, it is a malicious accusation against me, no? Sa anong rason? Probably politika, no? Para siraan ho tayo. Pangalawa, marami mo na po siyang interviews na ginawa na kung saan lumipas na ang buwan ng Enero at by that time, alam na natin, lumabas na yung General Appropriations Act. It was already uploaded before the official website of the Department of Budget and Management. It is a publicly available document. Pero during those times, January, February, never naman na-mention yung pangalan ko, no? Na ako daw nakialam at nagtapyas ng budget for the 1st District of Albay. But why only now? No? Marso na, halos magtatatlong buwan, inimplicate yung pangalan ko. Ako daw nakialam sa budget ng 1st District. So again, it's a malicious accusation, no? Of course, to tarnish my reputation. And of course, pangatlo, alam mo, the most prudent thing to do, dapat nagsulat sana sila sa House leadership, no? And ask, ano po nangyari sa budget ng 1st District of Albay? Kumbaga, let's do it through a proper channel. Don't just accuse someone, no? Several months has already elapsed, tapos babanggitin mo lang yung pangalan ko dahil magkalaban kami sa politika. I think that's not fair, no? Dapat nagsulat sila, nagtanong sana sa House leadership ano yung nangyari. At least official yung naging action, no? You cannot just go somewhere and of course ask a journalist or a news writer na you will just say this without any evidence being afforded, no? And of course, pang-apat, he was saying, no, and pardon me for, of course, mentioning the name of the late Congressman Edsel Lagman. May mga interviews kasi si Mayor Crisel na sinasabi niya, Congressman Edsel Lagman was attending session via online, no? And all of us, knowing Congressman Edsel, alam natin na hindi yan nagpapahuli sa mga diskusyon dito sa Kongreso, no? Ano man ang mga issue, ano man ang mga usapin, hindi po nagpapahuli si Congressman Edsel Lagman. So dapat, kung totoo yun, na uma-attend session via online, bakit hindi po nag-react, no? Bakit hindi po nag-question about the budget? And ang budget naman po, hindi naman isang taong gumagawa niyan. It's a product of a collegial body, of the House of Representatives, including the Senate. So, bakit mo isisisi sa isang tao? no? And someone, and then of course other media personalities saying, hindi ko daw dinipensahan yung budget ng 1st District. The last time I checked, I am a representative of party list Ako Bicol, no? Yung constituency ko, 6 provinces of Albay. And the last time I checked, meron pong congressman sa 1st District of Albay. The budget was signed before the end of 2024. Congressman Ed Salagman was still present. So bakit ICCC sa akin at bigyan yung obligasyon para depensahan yung budget ng ibang kongresista? Halimbawa, ito po si Congressman Paulo Ortega, no? Ba't ko naman papakialaman yung mga initiated projects niya? Di ba? Ba't ko papakialaman yung pondo ng distrito niya sa La Union? Kasi ako, bilang isang kongresista, meron din ako mga initiated projects na nilalabi at gusto rin mapopondohan. So, eting conflict eh. Kasi yung mga in-initiate kong projects within the 1st District of Albay. So, kung gusto ko talagang tapyasan yan, bakit pa ako maglalagay ng mga pondo doon? Di ba? So, it means that, election season, sisimula na naman yung siraan. That's why I appeal, no, to the one who write that statement na hindi man lang kinuha yung side ko. It was a one-sided news article na hindi man lang nag-effort, no, na kuhanin yung aking pong panig or pahayag o reaksyon doon sa malisyosong akusasyon laban po sa akin. So, sana naman maging patas lang tayo sa ating pong pagpapahayag, lalong-lalo na sa mga media, dahil we do not want to mislead, especially our constituents. No? Kung ito po ay para lang sa pansariling interes, just to serve your political agenda, eh wala pong saysay ho yan. No? Wala hong basehan. And that's why I challenge her, no, to go to the court and prove that Congressman Jill Bungalon diverted that particular fund. So yun po yung aking reaction.
Thank you, Billy. Rosalie Cas from UNTV.
Sorry po, mahabol pa. Sa tingin niyo po yung pag-aresto kay FPRRD kahapon will lead to political instability, lalo na po yung mga nasa kampo ni dating Pangulong Duterte, specifically former presidential spokesperson Harry Roque, ay nanawagan sa mga taga-suporta niya na mag-rally sa EDSA.
Maganda yung filter niya dun sa bagong Zoom. Hindi ko, anong tawag doon? Hindi, na-appreciate ko. Ang ganda lang kasi. Maliwalas. They've been trying to do this to the Marcos administration sa government for almost 2 years na. Diba? Naalala natin yung press release, yung video na ito ang kasamaan laban sa kadiliman. Pero from the last few weeks po, nakita po natin na gumaganda po yung ekonomiya natin. So, for me, tingin ko they will try to make noise. They will try to have their rallies. Pero tingin ko hindi naman siya mag-cause ng direct na instability. Talagang more on yung filter ang gusto ko malaman kung ano yung ginagawa. Kasi maganda eh. Oh, maganda. Ano ba yan? Yung 360? Ano talaga?
Beauty Plus. Alam nyo, levity aside, no? I think instead of the noisy ones will always be noisy. I think that's one thing for sure. Pero kung kakagatin ng tao, ako alam mo, I doubt. We've seen yung ekonomiya natin, katulad ng sinabi ni Kong Paulo, paganda ang fundamentals natin. Pangalawa, naipakita natin hindi lang sa ating bansa kundi sa buong mundo na the rule of law is applied equally to everyone in this country. Na ang ating presidente has shown strong leadership. President Marcos has shown strong leadership yesterday. Our police and military has shown their professionalism in throughout the operations, no? And then even our civil society, yung totoong civil society, have seen the fruit of their hard work for the last 7 years. itong mga paring nag-aaruga dun sa mga AJK victims. And that indicates a vibrant civil society sector in the country. All of this put together, I think they present stability, no? Political noise will always be noisy. But what matters is who delivers and who produces the results.
Last question na lang po on my part. Kanina po kasi nabanggit nyo rin po, Kong Jude, na nakakalungkot din na manggaling pa yung pag-aresto sa isang korte sa labas ng bansa para makamit ang hustisya sa mga biktima ng EJ case. Pero ito po bang pag-surrender ng Philippine government kay former President Duterte sa ICC, is it also an admission on the part of the government na hindi natin kayang i-prosecute ang isang katulad ng dating Pangulo na nanguna sa anti-drug war kung saan meron pong alleged EJ case o may EJ case po?
Well, obviously, during the time when all these crimes were happening and during the times when these cases were filed, pwede natin masabing ganun nga. Kasi before naman yan sila umabot sa ICC, nag-file din yan sa fiskalya, nag-file sa prosecutors, nagreklamo sa police. At wala naman tayong nakitang intentful attempt to prosecute or investigate. Kaya siguro umabot na sila sa The Hague. But then again, if we're looking at it cannot be, kasi yan din yung ginagamit na argument sa mga laban dun sa ICC na proceedings, no? It cannot be the entire measure also of sa buong hudikatura natin. Diba? It's very unfair to say that because of that, it's an indicator that our justice system is not working. That would be too convenient of excuse para sa mga taong ayaw naman ibigay ang katarungan at hindi sabihin ang katotohanan in the first place. We have to be clear. Section 17 of the act defining the crimes against humanity, di ba? There's a provision there, kung hindi na nakakamali, section 16, 17 ba, that allows the state to actually turn over to an international body the prosecution of the crimes identified under that act. If I'm not mistaken, it's Republic Act 9851, di ba? So, whatever is happening is perfectly in accordance with the law. Yung sinasabi nilang surrendering our sovereignty, the fact that we are part and we are able to join an international proceeding such as the ICC is already an act of sovereignty. Hindi naman siguro tayo i-entertain doon if it's not for our sovereignty. Our ability to include in our to implement the jurisprudence in Pangilinan versus Cayetano is an act of sovereignty. The fact that we were able to turn over to the Interpol the former president is an act of sovereignty. I don't think we're surrendering anything. We're reinforcing of our ability to carry out our sovereignty.
Marian Enriquez.
Nag-start po yung Quad Committee hearings, I guess, back in August pa po, no? Tapos, very firm din yung stance din ng admin ni PBBM that they would not cooperate with the ICC probe. But despite that, nagpatuloy pa rin po din tayo and marami pong lumabas, kumbaga, sa Quadcom hearing on the EJ case. I guess my question is, did you see this coming po na darating to araw na to na maaresto po si former PRRD?
Ako personally, I didn't see the ICC factor coming in. Personally, I would have preferred that President Duterte would have been tried under 9851 pala, for crimes against humanity. So, ayun yung expectation ko. And that was also part of the recommendations of the Quad Committee to be able to prosecute him. Kasi that would have been, for me, a stronger message that we are able to prosecute one of our own and hold him accountable for the crimes that they have done. But nonetheless, the proceeding that we're doing also with the ICC is also in accordance with the same law. So it doesn't really matter who makes the judgments or what, but in the end, justice is served to the victims.
Ako din, same. Hindi ko in-expect na yung sa ICC na they will come in and pero hindi naman siguro swift kasi inabot na po tayo ng 7 years. So I share the same sentiments as Kong Jude.
Sir, what's your comment na, yun nga, sinosolidify nito na hindi kaya ng Pilipinas una, yung recommendation nga po natin ng Quadcom to file charges and crimes against humanity against former President Rodrigo Duterte, and even in the past, very, iba naman talaga yung fear noong panahon pa po ng administrasyon niya, and now, we've come to this.
Well, kasi nandun na nauna na, nakapagsimula na sila. And justice delayed is justice denied. So, if we were to consider, kung ipipilit natin itong proceeding na magsisimula pa lang, bakit hindi natin gawin ang something that's already 7 years in the making? And mind you, even if I believe I would have preferred domestic court to look into the case, I have all the respect for the competence of the judges of the International Criminal Court. I'm sure that justice will be served under their watch. Hindi lang ako masyadong komportable sa thought na ginagawa natin to dahil hindi kaya ng mga korte natin, di ba? You cannot take it away. You have to put in the entire context kung ano talaga nangyari, especially during the time when the cases were filed. Kahit nga dito sa, I'll give you a personal experience. During the time of the Dutertes, ang hirap nga humanap ng abogado na magpa-file ng cases for drug cases because difficult to find someone, a lawyer, to defend someone who's accused of a drug case, di ba? So how much more for all these people? So I would have preferred that route, yes, but then again, I don't think it's a judgment on the situation where we find ourselves in. It's only that for sake of facility, andyan na siya, gawin na natin.
Well, on my part, we have to remember that the crimes alleged happened during the time of his incumbency as the President of the Republic of the Philippines. And under the Constitution, the President is immune from suit. So any charges or complaints filed against by the President will be dropped or will not prosper. So basically, siya po ay pananagutin after ng kanyang termino, no? And we have this principle of complementarity, no, na kung saan sinasabi doon if the state is unwilling or unavailable to have a genuine investigation or prosecution of particular crimes, for instance, the crimes against humanity, then the ICC will take jurisdiction. In other words, kung nakikita nila na wala naman talagang pag-iimbestiga or kaya kaso man lang na na-file patungkol dito sa extrajudicial killings, then manghihimasok po ang International Criminal Court patungkol sa mga krimen kagaya ng crimes against humanity. Probably this is what's happening right now, no? For the past several years walang nakitang aksyon, no? Walang kaso at kaya assume ng jurisdiction ng ating pong ICC.
Sir, last na lang po, would wanna comment po dito sa statement ni VP Sara Duterte. This act shows the world that this government is willing to abandon its own citizen and betray the very essence of our sovereignty and national dignity. Kung Pilipino ka, hindi ka kailanman susunod sa mga dayuhan sa loob ng sarili mong bayan. We are not Filipinos for nothing, sabi ni VP Sara.
Napakaganda nga po talaga nung statement kung yun po yung ika-copy-paste po dun sa West Philippine Sea issue. But other than that, hindi po ako nag-agree sa statement na yun. Kasi napakaganda po siguro kung ang Pilipino, ang kinampihan niya yung kapwa niya Pilipino, saka po yung mga naging EJK victims po.
For me, it's because we surrendered a fellow citizen, no? But as a state, as a government, we have a constitutional provision that we adhere to the generally accepted principles of international law, and part of which is being a long-time member of the Interpol. Again, it was not the government who initiated this case. a case that was filed during his incumbency. It was an international tribunal who issued the warrant of arrest. So basically, the Philippine government already just acted, no, by being a member of the Interpol, because the warrant of arrest was coursed through the Interpol. So we are duty bound to act on it and implement it, and it's up to the ICC to finish this trial.
Ako, I'd like to dispute yung sinabi ni ni Vice President Sara na the world sees this as our country surrendering one of our own. Alam niyo, nakikita na ibang bansa that we are able to find justice for those whom they were deprived of, itong mga EJK victims. That our country is able to step up and uphold the rule of law. Napakadali talaga for them to skirt the issue of EJK. Siguro dahil sa sinabi ni Kong Paulo, hindi naman nila ma-deny na nangyari nga na talaga yung patayan. Diba? Kaya dinadivert nila na we surrendered one of our own. Hindi po yun yung nakikita ng buong mundo. Nakikita ng buong mundo, nagkakaroon na ho ng katarungan para sa mga pamilya ng EJK victims. Yun po ang mas mahalaga. Hindi po dapat ito na sa sentro, kayo na yung sinasabi ko, paulit-ulit mula kanina, hindi ito about kay Mr. Duterte. Ito po ay dun sa 30,000 na mga katao na hanggang ngayon, hindi pa rin, mailap pa rin ang hustisya sa kanila.
Thank you, Marian.
Kailangan po yata maging accountable din po sila. Hindi puro sisi, hindi puro turo. Be accountable for your own actions.
Thank you, sir. We also received several questions from our colleagues who are not physically present, but some of their questions have already been addressed earlier. So I think we will just entertain two questions from Kenneth Basilio from Business World. First question niya ay, China commented on former President Duterte's arrest yesterday, urging the ICC to avoid politicizing the issue and having double standards. How do you view their statement? Anybody from the panel may respond, sir.
Well, in all due respect to our Chinese friends, we hope that they will not interfere in our domestic policies.
Thank you, sir. His second question. What kind of pushback do you expect from the Duterte camp after yesterday's arrest, and how should the administration address it?
Parang 2 taon na silang push ng push kahit na wala pong nangyayari. They've been trying to divide this government for more than 2 years. Of course, expect the unexpected, but again, sabi ko nga po, dito po sa administrasyon na to, nananaig po ang rule of law at sisiguraduhin po natin na ang state of lawlessness na pinapangarap nila ay hindi po mangyayari.
I think I can safely say that I speak for most of our group, kami nila Kong Paulo, na I think that what gives us the confidence to speak about these things is that we know we're on the right side of history. We know we're doing the right thing. We're holding criminals accountable. We're giving justice to those who've been denied them. We're doing the right thing. Kung ano man ang gawin nila, they will have to be made accountable for that before the people. Alam niyo, kung meron na lang sana silang gagawin, harapin na lang nila yung kaso sa Dahig. Harapin na lang nila yung kaso sa ICC. Doon nila i-explain ang panig nila in a fair trial. And hopefully, the court will decide in favor of justice.
Since wala pa hong paliwanag ang Office of the House Secretary General, pwede bang ipaliwanag kung Jude Asidre kung ano po ang protocol, kailan pa ba ng travel authority, if ever, sumunod si Congressman Paulo Duterte sa The Hague, Netherlands? Salamat po.
Well, yes po. Kahit nga po ako pag binibisita ko asawa ko sa Thailand, kailangan ko rin ng travel clearance. Lahat po kami duty bound to seek for travel clearance kung ito ay personal trip and travel authority if it's an official trip. I think there's no exemption to that.
Salamat po.
Thank you, Milky. Dwight De Leon from Rappler.
Hello po, good morning po. In your statements today, you underscored the importance of the former president's arrest on an ICC warrant, highlighting this is about seeking accountability and justice for the families of the victims. Do you think that the Philippines under the Duterte administration made a mistake when it withdrew from the International Criminal Court?
I would not say that it was a mistake. I think it was a very convenient way for them to avoid accountability. They must have seen this coming, and clearly our withdrawal from the ICC has made it difficult for those who were pursuing the case at the ICC to make the government or the administration that time cooperate with whatever proceeding or investigation that was being carried out. So, sa tingin ko, hindi mistake. Ito talaga yung plano nila. Isa lang nangyari, mali ang plano nila.
Okay. Well, for me, again, it was not a mistake. Probably it was a belated reaction on the filing of the cases against the ICC. So siguro nakita nila na pwedeng manghimasok ang isang International Criminal Court. But the problem was the case was already filed. And the ICC already assumed jurisdiction. And even with the withdrawal from the ICC, wala nang magagawa eh. Nag-acquire na sila ng jurisdiction. In fact, the investigation has already started. And there are sufficient grounds to believe that the respondent committed crimes against humanity, specifically murder, in relation to the implementation on the war on drugs. So that's my take about it. It was not a mistake. It was a belated reaction on the filing of the EG case in anticipation for the ICC, which will come in to pursue him and course, charge him in the International Tribunal.
Kahapon po, Congresswoman Geraldine Roman said it's time for the Philippines to rejoin the ICC. What's your personal take po? Kayo pong tatlo.
Personally, I don't see any problem why we shouldn't. Diba? If there is that step and if there is that initiative on the part of the administration, I would support it. But then again, this is a matter for the administration to decide. Senate naman ang nag-concur with treaties that we accede to. So, but on the part of the House, I don't think there, as a congressman, personally, I don't think, from the perspective of the House, I don't think there's anything na, kung ano mang stand namin, it wouldn't matter really because we're not the ones deciding on that issue.
I answered that question siguro mga tagal 6 months na dapat talagang i-consider ulit na I mean it's just me. Should consider na rejoining not because of what happened today but matagal ko na pong nasagot yun. Siguro sabi ko nga in cases na maulit-ulit mga ganitong problema so meron pa rin tayong tool or meron tayong measuring stick for that.
For me, I totally agree that the Philippine government should rejoin with the ICC or to sign again as a member of the Rome Statute. You know, the importance of being a member of this is that there are crimes that if the state or the government has failed to conduct a genuine investigation or prosecution of particular crimes. And what are those? Crimes against humanity, war crimes, genocide, or crimes of aggression. And if the state or the government has failed to act on it and provide justice to the victims, where do we go now? So that's why it's important. It's for the protection of the people. And the state should, well, for me, it's our duty, no, to give protection to our people. And one way of doing this is for us to rejoin in the Rome Statute.
Follow-up lang po dun sa tanong kanina. Ano pong mensahe nyo kay Senator Bato? So, has been missing in action for the past 2 days, 2 to 3 days. Parang last na online siya sa Viber, parang last Sunday pa. And in past interviews, he said that he's ready to face the International Criminal Court. Sabi niya, bring it on in one of his interviews for the campaign.
Siguro ako, more on yung okay lang ba siya kasi kung 2 days siyang literally missing o walang statements or walang communication. Siguro mas importanteng masagot muna yun kung nasan siya kasi I'm sure if he hasn't reacted or hasn't commented or usually dapat nandun na siya, then I would assume na he's doing something na mas importante. Wala naman ako makitang bagay na mas importante na kailangan niyang mag-react or sumagot. So, I just want to know if he's okay.
Alam mo, mga halal na opisyal, no? I usually the standard for us to follow the law is the expectation is double than the usual. I think Senator Bato, I would like to appeal to his sense of nationalism, of course, his sense of public duty to submit to the rule of law. Hindi ho option sa amin yon as elected officials. Sinumpaang tungkulin po namin yon. At sana dito ay makita natin ang kanyang pagtupad sa kanyang sinumpaang tungkulin.
Last question na lang po from my end. I know sinabi nyo na, this is more than just politics, pero balikan ko lang din kasi some critics are saying that there's no turning back from this fallout between the Marcoses and the Dutertes, and that the Marcoses have no choice now but to ensure that the Dutertes won't be able to return to power in 2028 because the Dutertes will be vengeful and they would seek revenge, and kayo you're also among the faces of the administration and now in the impeachment trial. For House lawmakers, this make the impeachment trial of Vice President Sara a non-negotiable.
Mahirap kasi pag pinagsama-sama natin lahat, di ba? I think part of the discipline that us as legislators, the Senate as the impeachment court later on, is to be able to determine talaga the level of accountability of every personality involved. Like for this AJK, wala naman talaga kaming kinalaman bilang house, no? Other than we conducted the Quadcom and able to add clarity because hindi naman kami party sa case, hindi naman kami ang nag-file, hindi naman kami nagparesto. Diba? Other than the fact that we, of course, with the hearings, was able to provide a better perspective of what really happened. So I think to say na all of these are lumped together is if they're part of one big plan, para sa akin, kaya nga ako paulit-ulit dun sa AJK victims kasi moment nila to eh. Sila to eh. Sila yung 7 years nag-antay before they can even see a glimmer of justice. And they're finally seeing the light. They're finally seeing that opportunity na mabigyan ng katarungan yung mga nawala sa kanila, yung mga pinatay nilang mga kamag-anak or kapamilya. And I think to reduce everything to a political narrative is, to say the least, disrespectful eh. Diba? Not only disrespectful for the law, not only disrespectful to the Filipino people, but disrespectful to the memory of all those whose rights have already been violated. Hanggang kailan natin papayagan ang paglalapastangan na to?
To add lang, syempre, nasa kamay na po yan ng mga korte. Impeachment court, sa Senate, yung sa ICC. To piggyback dun sa nasabi nga ni Kong Jude. Talagang ang numero uno na concern dito is yung maserve po yung justice. That justice has to run its course. And sabi ko nga, and there has to be an end to the story. And it's not political in that way, but we are in a political atmosphere. So automatically, ano bang term doon? Yung narrative nito will always be political kasi nga naglalaro po tayo sa political atmosphere. But sabi ko nga, together with Kong Jude, yung hustisya po at saka accountability ang tinitingnan natin at the end of the day. And kung ano man yung maging resulta nun, then tatanggapin po natin. Tatanggapin po namin dito sa House of Representatives. As long as yung mga naging biktima, di ba, yung ano yun malaking question mark po sa kanila yung talagang yan ang tanong ng buhay na nila ngayon. So, kung ano man po yung maging resulta ng ICC at saka ng impeachment, tanggap po natin yun, no matter what.
Thank you po.
Thank you, Dwight. Big Sumintak from Net25.
Magandang hapon po. Attorney Jill Bungalon. Sir, will you please enlighten us, non-lawyers, regarding doon sa contention ng legal panel ni former President Duterte. Kaya sila nag-file ng petition for certiorari and TRO and now habeas corpus sa Supreme Court na nagkaroon daw ng procedural lapses doon sa execution ng arrest warrant from ICC kasi supposed to be daw, even Senator Cayetano, sinabi niya na yung arrest warrant ay dapat i-validate pa ng local competent court before na i-execute.
Okay. With respect to that issue, I haven't read their petition, petition for certiorari and the petition for writ of habeas corpus. But, well, I assume that their contention is that there were procedural lapses in the implementation of the warrant, number one, because according to them, probably the Philippines should not recognize that warrant, because we are no longer a party or a member under the Rome Statute. So, yun yung sinasabi nila. Well, my understanding of this issue is that the warrant of arrest was validly issued by the International Tribunal, particularly the ICC. And although the Philippines is not a member, is no longer a member of the Rome Statute, but the warrant of arrest was coursed through the Interpol, of which our country, the Philippines, is a long-time member of this organization. And under that, we are duty-bound, we are under-obligated to effect and implement the warrant. So, being a member, meron ho tayong obligasyon na through our Philippine National Police or the law enforcement agencies to implement and effect the warrant. So ginawa lang naman ng ating pong gobyerno yung kanilang trabaho na with the issuance of the warrant of arrest, kailangan nila po yun i-serve kay Pangulong Duterte. At yung sa petition for writ of habeas corpus, of course, they really want the body of President Duterte to be returned in this country. But I guess it should be a matter that the Supreme Court should decide. And also, there are legal remedies available on the part of the respondent, on the part of President Duterte. So probably they can file a motion or a petition with the ICC, considering that in a few hours, of course, the President will be turned over to the authorities of the ICC, which has the jurisdiction over the case. And yun po, yung mga kailangan natin abangan, ano? And again, as mentioned nga, this is unprecedented. Hindi pa to nangyari before eh. And that is why, well, once and for all, for the Supreme Court to decide with respect to that issue, no, regarding that procedural lapses. And of course, hindi yung fact na kailangan po i-validate, you know, by being a member of the Interpol, of course, as part of the global community, we should cooperate with respect to transnational crimes like terrorism, cyber crimes, hijacking, human trafficking. So these are crimes that are being committed, no, across the country. For instance, let me illustrate. What if a particular individual, a foreign individual, committed a serious crime, for instance, crimes against humanity, no, in a particular foreign country, at yung akusadong yon lumipad dito sa ating bansa, no, to seek, no, probably para makapag-evade ng justice, para magtago, and the ICC issued a warrant, no, for that arrest of that particular person. So, ano bang gusto mong ibig sabihin? Hindi ba kikibo ang ating pong bansa na hulihin ang isang individual na gumawa ng isang seryosong krimen, no, sa ibang bansa? So, magiging pangit ang implikasyon nito. Baka isipin ng mga mamamayan o na ibang mga neighboring countries na baka magiging safe haven for criminals itong ating bansa if we will not comply with our obligation under Interpol. So again, we have to respect the legal process. We have to trust the legal process. So yun po yung aking komento patungkol po dyan.
Another question, Attorney Jill, regarding impeachment. Sir, can you confirm na based on the information from the Senate, na supposed to be this day, magkakaroon kayo ng ocular inspection mismo doon sa nire-request nyo na room assignment, pero pinospone daw kasi this afternoon magmi-meeting uli ang prosecution panel regarding the next move on the impeachment against the Vice President after the arrest of former President Duterte.
Well, probably an official request was already sent to the Senate, no, for us to asking the Senate, no, through the Senate President na bigyan po kami ng isang kwarto, no, in anticipation for the trial, no, wherein doon ho kami tutuloy at doon yung mga paghahanda na gagawin namin bago po magsimula ang impeachment trial. Pero kami pong mga public prosecutors together with the private prosecutors ay nagkaroon po ng pag-meeting, no, kahapon. At ganun pa din yung aming pong paghahanda sa magiging impeachment trial. Of course, yung division of labor or yung assignment of task were already given to the respective members of the prosecution panel. Let's wait and see, no, what would be the next move of the prosecutors dito pong mga darating na araw. But then again, if given the chance, no, mabuti na din po na magkaroon kami ng pagkakataon na makabisita, no, at least parte po ng aming preparasyon yan sa aming trial. We have to be familiarized, no, with the environment wherein doon po mangyayari yung trial. So parte po yung ng aming pong mga preparasyon. Wala ho kaming meeting ngayong hapon.
Thank you, Vic. Lenes Capanti from GMA Online.
Good afternoon, sir. About, nabanggit din kasi ni Kong Jude to kanina, yung Pangilinan versus Cayetano na ruling of the Supreme Court stating that the Philippines is still obligated to cooperate with ICC proceedings provided that yung alleged crimes happened during when we were still a party to the Rome Statute and the complaint was filed, the proceedings were initiated prior to the withdrawal. Given this Supreme Court decision, do you think the Marcos government stands on solid legal ground in effecting the arrest?
Well, I think as just to be consistent with what the president said, no, he cooperated with the Interpol, taking into consideration that we have our own obligations to the Interpol, which are separate with that our obligation to the ICC, and I think that alone is already a solid, without even solid basis, without even having to appeal to the jurisprudence set by Pangilinan versus Cayetano, no? Dun pa lang may kuan na. Kasi dadagdag ko lang yung sinabi ni Kong Jill. Maraming, like for example, maraming mga Pilipino ang nasasangkot o di kaya naging biktima ng human trafficking, for example. At marami dito, especially when you talk about transnational crime, ang main actor talaga dito, Interpol. And I think that justifies significantly the need to cooperate with the Interpol in this regard. But nonetheless, even without that, had the administration chose to follow, to apply the provision, to cite the provisions of the decision ng Pangilinan versus Cayetano, that would have bolstered the position of the administration. But even if we don't go there, the decision itself to cooperate with the Interpol provides already a solid foundation, a solid ground for the Marcos administration to take due course, to take the course of action that they have done yesterday.
Kung may additional. Sir, kayo. Others po baka may additional.
Yes, we have to remember that the decisions of the Supreme Court form parts of the law of the land. So with that, the administration has a strong legal ground when, of course, they cooperated, no, with the implementation of the warrant by virtue of being a member of the Interpol, not because we are a member of the ICC. So I think that's clear, no, to everyone. The action was made not because we are a member of the ICC, but because we are a member of the Interpol. And under that, we are duty-bound to act. Of course, we have to maintain our diplomatic relations with other countries. What if, on our side, mangyari din yung ganitong bagay? We want a fugitive, no, who is hiding in other country, and we want that fugitive to be taken. So, of course, we will expect to that particular country to do the same, no, to cooperate, to arrest that particular person and bring that to justice and face the trial in court here or in the International Tribunal.
Second question ko po. The PNP has placed its regional offices and national support units under heightened alert after concerns of potential civil unrest rallies and mass actions following the recent arrest of the former president. Do you find this necessary? Or because other camps are, interpreting this as, sign of, being afraid of the supporters of the former president? Is this necessary, placing PNP units under heightened alert?
I think it's just standard protocol. Kasi when emotions are high, syempre, kailangan nating lagyan ng presence para to make sure that law and order is upheld.
May add sir. May add pa kayo, sir. Okay na. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Lines Capanti. Thank you, everyone, for your participation. Today's press conference has been one of the longest, but before we conclude, do you have any final remarks to our dear honorable House leaders?
Before I turn it over to Kong Paulo, I think for everyone, no, I hope that we are able to remind everyone, whether we agree or not with what happened yesterday, is to allow people to be calm, to be sober about what's happening, to really pag-isipan natin yung mga sasabihin natin, bigyan natin ng daan ang tama at rasonableng pananaw. Let's allow reason and not emotions to dictate our actions, especially in the coming days. At lastly, siguro, panahon rin lang naman ng Kwaresma. Ipagdasal natin ng isa't isa, ipagdasal natin ng dating Pangulo, lalo na't magbe-birthday siya. Ipagdasal natin ng ating bansa na lahat tayo ay magkaroon ng kapayapaan sa puso at sa ating isipan.
Maraming salamat po sa ating mga media friends at listeners. At siguro po dapat po natin laging tandaan na there will always be three sides. Diba? Yung both parties, yung magkabilang side, saka yung katotohanan. Ang hinahabol po natin dito is yung katotohanan at makamit ng hustisya. Yun lang po. Maraming salamat.
Well, siguro dahil sa mga nangyari, siguro ako po ay nag-aapila na sana maging kalmado po ang lahat, no, sa mga pangyayaring ito. Pero sana wag ho tayo magpagamit sa anuman ng mga malisyoso at mga hindi tamang impormasyon, no, na pinapakalat ng ibang tao para mas lalong maging magulo ang ating bansa. Let us remember that we are all Filipinos. Ayaw natin na bumagsak ang ating gobyerno dahil kapakanan ng ating lahat ng mga kababayan ang mga nakasalalay ho dito. So, let's pray for the Philippines na sana maging mas maunlad pa ang ating bansa at umiwas sa anuman ng mga kaguluhan. So, salamat po at magandang hapon po sa lahat.
Maraming salamat po ulit sa inyo. House Deputy Majority Leader and La Union, 1st District, Representative Paulo P. Ortega V, House Committee on Overseas Workers Affairs, Chairman and Tingog Party List, Jude A. Asidre, and House Assistant Majority Leader and ako Bicol Party List, Representative Jill Bungalon for joining us today. To everyone, pwede na po tayo magmerienda.